and welcome to In Conversation with WLV Doctoral College. I'm Dr. Deborah Curiton and I work in research development at the University of Wolverhampton.
I'm Dr. Ben Halligan, I'm Director of the Doctoral College.
We are continuing with our vlog series around applying for jobs post-doctorate. So we've released a vlog on researching the institution, we've released a vlog on when to apply for jobs, so we're now following that up with a vlog on what to do if you get called to interview, if you get invited to an interview. So, scenario is that you've been invited to interview. There are a number of things that you need to think about. 1, what to wear. 2, how to travel. 3, how to present yourself. So, what would your tips be around those?
I think on the travelling one,
Yeah.
I mean obviously there are practicalities about don't assume that you know where you're going, and you know there may be traffic problems, and you know, so I mean often it makes a lot of sense to go the night before, doesn't it? And I think that what is perhaps therefore quite useful is to check out the expenses situation, and if they provide expenses for a hotel, for travel, for meals, don't be scared of using them, because you know the interview panel won't be checking out your receipt for what you ate the night before as part of the process. It will just go to the HR department, and you know most universities will have budgets for this, and if no one uses it they just withdraw the budgets. So I would make life easier for yourself by thinking, let's go down the day before, and in fact maybe let's even find out where we need to be going if that's possible, so that you have the minimum stress on the morning, on the day that you're going, in terms of finding out where you need to go.
There's an advert on the television, isn't there, for, I think it's Virgin Trains, where a woman, they've got 2 scenarios where a woman's going for a job interview and she goes by Virgin Trains, turns up on time, having quite relaxed, having had her breakfast and a coffee and read through her application, turns up on time, and compared to her driving down the motorway, getting stuck in a traffic jam, trying to drink a cup of coffee whilst driving and spilling it down herself, turning up at the interview half an hour late and banging on a window whilst it pours down of rain on it. So yeah, you know, those are 2 quite legitimate experiences, and you certainly don't want the latter.
Not that we're endorsing Virgin Trains
No,
to
we're
get you there
not
on
necessarily,
time,
but
or to
you know,
get you wherever you're
yeah.
going.
But so you know, do think about making sure that you have adequate time, and if you've got a morning interview, go down the night before.
I mean likewise, I mean if they want you at some time that's difficult for you to get to because you've got to drop the kids off at school or what have you, it's not unreasonable when they invite you to ask if another time is available.
Yeah.
I mean, and in fact they will be quite used to that kind of back and forth. So yeah, I wouldn't be scared of dealing with that, because most of this stuff will be dealt with by the HR department, not by the people that will be interviewing you. So I would engage in that conversation if need be.
So you've turned up to the interview. You know how you're getting there. You know where you're going. What to wear?
Go on.
My advice is always dress smartly. That doesn't necessarily need to be you know, a suit and tie if you're a man, or a suit if you're a woman, but dress smartly, but dress in a way that you feel confident, that's going to empower you. So the one thing I tend to do is I tend to wear black, because I can guarantee I'm going to spill something down me, so you don't usually see it if you've spilled something down you that's black. And I usually give them something to focus on. So I usually wear very quirky shoes. And in previous interviews, that's what people have remembered me for. Oh, the lady with the quirky shoes, I've become memorable. So you don't have to wear quirky shoes, but wear something that's comfortable, wear something that you're not going to be worried about, and wear something that makes you feel empowered.
That's good advice. I would suggest maybe whatever you decide to wear, try it on the day before, because if it's a suit that you last wore in 2006, the last time you interviewed, whatever, it may not be the suit to wear anymore. So I think that kind of thing. I think that we don't, in academic jobs, we're not necessarily that formal in what we expect people to be wearing nowadays. And in fact, I think, if anything, the person who is super formal, that may almost count against them, because one thing that may be in the minds is, how is this person going to relate to undergraduates and somebody in a bow tie, and it may seem like the quintessential distanced academic that. So yes, I wouldn't necessarily be too dressy, but I agree with what you're saying about it's worth a bit of extra effort just to make sure that you're showing that you're very respectful of the occasion and you're prepared for it.
I think our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Jeff Thayer, tells the story of how he dressed when he came to the interview for his role here. And he made a point of telling everybody that he didn't wear a tie. But obviously was appointed to the role. So it is about looking smart, but being yourself. Because I think often we express ourselves through our clothes and the way we present ourselves visually. And I think that tells a lot of people, tells people a lot about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else? So we've talked about clothes, we've talked about how you arriving. What about how you present yourself in the interview, your body language, the way that you talk?
I think that ideally they've set the room up in a sympathetic manner, so you don't have a kind of tennis match of someone speaking to you here, someone speaking to you there. I think that there will be a panel and they'll introduce themselves, but you're probably not going to be clear who they are. And that there will be some external member or someone from HR. So there's someone who'll be sat at the end and you're not actually sure what their function is, and then they're going to ask you some question about health and safety in the workplace or something that seems a bit odd. If you can, it's worth maybe checking YouTube and seeing if you can find footage of, if they've told you who will be interviewing you, those people, because that way you've kind of heard how they speak before, which can be quite reassuring. I think generally my advice is that when you sit down, you should put your hands on your knees and try and keep them there, because if you're prone to wave your arms around to make gestures, it can suddenly, in the excitement of the moment, look a bit odd. You can knock over the glass of water. Whereas I think if you're just sat there and make a point of smiling at the candidates, then that's probably the best way to do that.
So an open body language then, from that. So, closed body language is that kind of promotes an open body language, which means that people see you as being open and friendly, and confident. I think some of the things that I think is really important to remember is that when we think back, we reflect back on our interview process, we're often focused on how we felt, because that's the most prominent aspect of that situation. So the fact that you felt panicked, the fact that you couldn't remember that word, the fact that you don't think you were coherent in the answer, doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it was perceived outwardly. So, if you think, if you're panicking, take a breath. Take a drink from the water, give yourself some time to calm down, because that hasn't necessarily been viewed by the panel as you panicking. You are allowed time to think, and you can say things like, oh, that's really interesting, actually I hadn't thought of that. Can I have a little bit of time to kind of think?
Because it's not a 100-metre sprint. It's not, here's the question, answer it now, bang, fail or pass. I mean, it's a matter of, if you're panicky or you're not sure, maybe ask the panel, does that answer the question, or would you like me to talk a bit more about this?
Yeah.
Or, ask them whether they're happy, and they'll give you guidance.
Yep. So is there anything else in terms of tips that you would give them?
I think opening and shutting doors can be quite confusing.
Okay.
Can't it? Because I think probably someone or other will be detailed to take you to the interview room. And I think when you go in, you've opened the door, and it's good to say good afternoon or good morning, and then to walk over and maybe to wait for someone to invite you to sit down, at which point you sit down. Then when the interview is over, to get up and say good morning, good afternoon, and then to walk back to the door, to turn around, thank you, good afternoon, and then to open it and then to go. So that would be my Tatler style, Degrette style advice on how you should do the polite entry and the polite exit.
Very good.
What about you, tips?
I think it's, for me, tips would be about making sure that you feel confident, because if the more confident you feel, confidence breeds confidence. So the more confident you can make yourself feel in that situation, the more likely you are to feel confident as you're going through that situation. Don't let minor setbacks take over. Put them to one side and carry on. Because, it might feel massive to you, but it won't look as massive to other people. And just be friendly and open and as professional as you possibly can be in that situation.
Because they're gunning for you, and under the way that interviews will be conducted and shortlists will be drawn up at university, a university may not invite someone in for an interview that they wouldn't give the job to. So you have to satisfy already all the specified criteria.
If you've been invited to interview, you're employable in that role.
Exactly. So you're already in a strong situation.
Yeah.
Which is why I sometimes think less can be more, because you'll often see people given rope to hang themselves and will rabbit on at massive length. But if you're already acknowledged as someone they would employ, then it's just a matter of perhaps confirming the elements they're looking for, speaking to what you've already put on the application form, and that would give you the good centre ground position.
And always be truthful. Because if they say to you, oh, do you know X, Y or Z database, and you don't, be truthful and say, no, I don't, but I'm willing to learn. I am a quick study, I do learn quickly. Don't sort of say, oh yes, I've had lots of experience of it, because if they then go on to ask you a question about it that you can't answer, you then feel, you then drop in their estimations.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's doubt about, you see it a bit sometimes with people talking about their involvement in externally funded projects, and there's a tendency to big up your role, but if later when they consult the CV, it really doesn't appear that you were so central, that can sow seeds of doubt. So we've done our tips. So
top tips. So thank you for listening, and please do follow our channel. If you like what we're saying and you want to hear more, you can press the button to say that to subscribe to hearing when we release new vlogs. We release new vlogs every Friday, so do look out for them. And if there's something that you would like us to cover in our vlogs, please do tell us in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again. Okay, bye.
Bye.